You finally did it. You walked away, blocked the numbers, and embraced the deafening silence of no contact. It is the hardest thing you have ever survived. But in the quiet hours of the night, a chilling question always creeps in. What exactly are they doing right now? When the supply is suddenly cut off, what does their daily reality actually look like? Let us uncover the hidden truth. The truth is, the moment you sever ties, a profound psychological shift occurs in their world. You might imagine them moving on effortlessly, laughing with new people, completely unfazed by your absence. That is the illusion they desperately want you to believe. But the reality behind closed doors is far more chaotic. It is a daily scramble to maintain a fractured sense of self. To understand what they do every single day, you have to remember what you were to them. You were not just a partner, a friend, or a family member. You were a vital emotional regulator. You were a mirror that reflected back the grand, flawless image they needed to see. When you implement no contact, you shatter that mirror, and they are left staring at the terrifying empty space. Day one without you is often marked by arrogant denial. They convince themselves that this is just another temporary tantrum on your part. They expect you to break. They think you will eventually come crawling back, begging for their attention, just like the cycle always went before. So, initially they do nothing at all. They just wait, wrapped in a false blanket of superiority. But as the days turn into weeks, that silence stops being a game and starts becoming a threat. The realization slowly begins to seep into their consciousness. You are actually not reaching out. You are not checking in to see if they are okay. The control they thought was absolute is suddenly slipping through their fingers. For a narcissist, loss of control feels like a literal death. This is when the daily obsessing truly begins. You might think they have forgotten you, but you are actually taking up more space in their mind than ever before. They monitor you. They check your social media using fake accounts or ask mutual friends casual, probing questions. They are looking for any sign that you are suffering without them. They desperately need you to be sad. If they see you thriving, smiling, or simply existing peacefully, it triggers a deep psychological injury. Your happiness is an active insult to their ego. How dare you survive without them? How dare you look okay? This perceived insult sends them into a frantic daily search for validation. They must immediately prove to themselves that they are the prize, the victim, or the hero. To soothe this wound, their daily routine pivots to securing new sources of supply. They cast wide nets, texting old flames, love-bombing strangers, or stirring up drama in their circles. They need someone, anyone, to react to them. They need a quick hit of adoration or pity to fill the massive void you left behind. It is a relentless, exhausting hustle just to feel alive. But no matter how many new people they pull into their orbit, something feels wrong. The new supply is easily manipulated, yes, but it lacks the deep history of control they had over you. They miss the specific ways they could easily push your buttons. They miss the intimate dance of chaos they spent years perfecting. These new people are just cheap substitutes. And they know it. As we pull back the curtain on their behavior, remember this: none of their daily actions are about moving forward. Every single thing they do is a reaction to the massive deficit of your absence. Let's look deeper into the exact mechanics of their mind during this time. Once you see the pathetic reality of their everyday life, the trauma bond finally begins to lose its grip. A narcissist's daily internal life is a balancing act on a wire made of deep, hidden shame. Without you there as a shock absorber for their negative emotions, that shame threatens to consume them. They wake up every single morning with a gnawing sense of emptiness. To combat this, they immediately begin constructing their daily armor. It is a psychological survival mechanism. Smear campaigns become a routine part of their day. They have to control the narrative before you do. So, they casually drop hints to friends, painting you as the unstable, irrational one. They tell stories of your supposed cruelty, playing the wounded victim with perfect precision. This is not just simple revenge. It is a vital preemptive strike to protect their fragile public mask. Why do they do this so consistently? Because if the world believes you are the villain, then your absence is justified. It shields them from the unbearable truth. that their toxic behavior drove away someone deeply valuable. They repeat these lies every single day until they actually believe them. Their brain aggressively rewrites history to ensure they never have to feel at fault. Alongside the smear campaign, there is the daily plotting of the Hoover. Even if weeks or months have passed, you are never truly filed away as gone. You are simply placed on a psychological shelf. They spend hours mentally drafting the perfect text, the random encounter, the perfect excuse to reach out. Just checking on you. I found your sweater. It is completely calculated. But notice the hesitation. They draft the messages, but they often don't send them right away. The ultimate dread of a narcissist is being ignored. The deafening silence of your no contact has taught them that you are no longer a safe bet for a reaction. Reaching out and getting no response would be a massive narcissistic injury. So they pace, they wait, they calculate. During this waiting period, their daily interactions with others become increasingly strained. The energy it takes to keep up the charming facade without a primary source to vent onto is exhausting. The people closest to them right now are likely experiencing sudden bursts of unexplained rage or icy withdrawal. The narcissist is vibrating with unreleased tension and resentment. You have to understand the sheer volume of cognitive dissonance they manage daily. They fiercely hate you for abandoning them, yet they desperately crave your validation. They want to destroy you, but they also want you to beg for them back. This paradox loops in their mind constantly. It is an exhausting mental prison of their own making, and your absence locks them right inside. To cope with this internal chaos, they escalate their self-soothing behaviors. This might look like excessive spending, reckless driving, substance abuse, or hyperpromiscuity. They are trying to forcefully inject dopamine into a deeply depressed emotional system. They need a distraction loud enough to drown out the silence you left behind. But the high never lasts long enough. What you are witnessing from afar is a fragmented personality trying to glue itself back together. You are the adhesive. Without you, the pieces are sliding out of place. Every day is a performance just to convince themselves they are still powerful. Behind the curated social media posts and the loud laughter at the bar, there is a hollow, echoing chamber of profound insecurity. They cannot self-reflect. They cannot look inward and say, I drove them away, I need to change. Their psychological structure forbids accountability. Every single day of no contact forces them to look outward for a solution to an internal problem. They are frantically bailing water out of a sinking ship, completely ignoring the massive hole in the hull. It is an endless cycle. And then comes the inevitable moment when the reality of your boundaries finally hardens into an undeniable truth. This is the turning point in their daily routine. The initial shock has worn off, the smear campaign has run its course, and the new supply is already starting to feel tedious. A quiet, terrifying realization settles over them. You are actually never coming back. This realization triggers what psychologists call a narcissistic collapse. It does not always look like a dramatic breakdown. Often, it is a slow, quiet implosion hidden from the public eye. Their daily functioning takes a massive hit. The mask begins to slip, revealing the bitter, exhausted person beneath. They might withdraw, sleep excessively, or neglect their daily duties. In this state, their days are consumed by a toxic mixture of intense victimhood and burning paranoia. They start to believe that everyone is against them. If a coworker looks at them the wrong way, it is a slight. If the new supply doesn't text back fast enough, it is a massive betrayal. Without you there to regulate their paranoid thoughts, the world becomes a hostile environment. This is when hidden stalking behaviors often peak. They spend hours staring at your blocked profiles, agonizing over every detail they can scrape together. They are desperately looking for a crack in your armor. They need to find evidence that your life is falling apart. If they find proof that you are miserable, they can finally breathe again. But you give them absolutely nothing. Your unbroken silence becomes the ultimate weapon, though you never intended it as one. To them, no contact is not a boundary, it is a hostile act of war. They view your silence as the most aggressive punishment imaginable. Every day you do not reach out is a day you are actively harming them. In their twisted reality, Your quiet healing is an intentional attack on their very soul. Driven by this perceived attack, they might attempt a desperate, chaotic hoover. This isn't a calculated text. This is highly erratic. It might be a fake emergency, an angry email from a burner account, or showing up uninvited. It is a clumsy, panicked attempt to force you into an emotional reaction. They do not care if you respond with pure rage, as long as you acknowledge them. When you maintain the boundary and ignore this desperate act, the collapse deepens. The rejection cuts straight through to their deepest, most unhealed childhood wounds. You have successfully done what they feared most. You have rendered them entirely irrelevant. The daily routine now shifts from angry plotting to a bleak, hollow realization of their crippling powerlessness over you. Notice the profound shift in power. When you were in the relationship, they controlled your days. They dictated your mood, your schedule, and your worth. Now, through the simple act of doing nothing, you hold all the cards. Your absence dictates their emotional state. You are not even in the room, yet you are the most powerful force in their daily life. The irony is inescapable. They try to project a life of winning to the outside world, but it takes immense, draining effort. Every photo posted is a calculated performance. Every loud laugh is heavily forced. When the door closes and they are alone with themselves, the silence is deafening. They have to live every single day with the mind of a person who aggressively destroys everything good that they touch. You are out there, breathing fresh air, rediscovering your own identity, and slowly learning to trust yourself again. Meanwhile, they are trapped in the exact same toxic loop, repeating the same destructive patterns with new faces. The dramatic turning point is realizing that your departure did not destroy their life. Their life was already broken. You just stopped trying to fix it. As time marches on, the long-term consequences of your absence solidify into their daily routine. They eventually give up the active pursuit and settle into a state of chronic, low-grade resentment. You become the phantom they can never quite shake. They will mentally rewrite the entire history of your relationship, casting you as the villain who coldly betrayed their absolute trust. This revised history is essential for their daily survival. They will tell this story to anyone who will listen. "My ex was crazy," they will say, shaking their head with feigned sadness. Deep down, beneath the layers of delusion, a tiny, buried fragment of their psyche knows the absolute truth. They know you were genuine. They know they pushed you to the brink until you had to run. What does their day look like now? It is a series of transactional interactions. Without your deep empathy to feed on, their relationships become entirely superficial. They surround themselves with enablers, people who ask no real questions and demand no accountability. It is a shallow, empty existence. They trade deep emotional connection for a cheap echo chamber of constant praise. The tragedy of their daily life is the absolute lack of growth. Years will pass. You will evolve, heal, and build a beautiful, grounded life. If you were to check on them 5 years from now, you would find them fighting the exact same battles. They will be using the same manipulative tactics, complaining about the same perceived injustices, and hiding behind the same fragile masks. They live in a perpetual state of emotional Groundhog Day. Because they cannot process shame or admit fault, they cannot learn from the past. Every day is just a new opportunity to blame someone else for their inner emptiness. Your no contact is a permanent mirror reflecting this reality back at them, which is exactly why they hate your silence. It offers no comforting distractions. They will constantly compare their new partners to you. Even if they never admit it out loud, the comparison is happening daily. They will quickly realize that not everyone has your immense patience, your deep forgiveness, or your capacity for love. The new supply will inevitably fail to meet their impossible standards, and the devaluation cycle will aggressively start all over again. When that cycle restarts, the daily reality of their disorder becomes glaringly obvious. They destroy people like clockwork. They leave a trail of broken trust and confused partners in their wake. With every failed relationship, their internal shame compounds. The dark void inside them grows just a little bit larger, requiring even more extreme manipulation to keep it temporarily hidden. There is profound justice in the reality of no contact. You do not have to seek revenge. You do not have to expose them. The harshest consequence they will ever face is simply having to wake up every single day and be exactly who they are. They are permanently locked inside a deeply unhappy, restless mind. That natural consequence is a punishment far worse than anything you could do. Your absence is the ultimate boundary, and it operates silently day after day. It is a fortress that protects your peace while simultaneously starving their ego. Every day you choose not to engage, you are actively dismantling the false narrative they tried to force upon you. You are taking back your energy, your focus, and your beautiful life. They are left with nothing but shadows. They will never find the peace you are building right now. They constantly chase the horizon, looking for the perfect person to finally fix their broken interior. But that person does not exist. The daily reality of a narcissist after you leave is a relentless, exhausting marathon on a treadmill. They are running for their lives, burning bridges everywhere, but going absolutely nowhere. Now, let us turn the focus away from their chaotic daily routine and bring it back to where it truly belongs, directly onto you. Understanding their psychological breakdown is only valuable if it serves your healing. You spent far too long analyzing their moves, trying to decode their madness. It is time to let their miserable reality stay entirely on their side of the locked tight door. When you wonder what they are doing today, remind yourself that it does not matter anymore. Whether they are love-bombing someone new, running a vicious smear campaign, or sitting in isolation, the outcome for you is exactly the same. You are finally free. Their daily actions are no longer your responsibility, your problem, or your crisis to manage. The immense burden is lifted forever. The silence of no contact was terrifying at first because you were addicted to the chaos. Your nervous system was hijacked, programmed to wait for the next text or sudden explosion. But every day you maintain no contact, your brain physically rewires itself. That heavy silence is no longer an empty void waiting to be filled. It is slowly becoming a highly sacred, beautifully calm space. You are going to have days where you miss the illusion of who they pretended to be. That is incredibly normal. Grieving the mask is part of the process. But never confuse the mask with the reality. The person you miss never actually existed. They were a carefully projected hologram designed to mirror your own wonderful qualities back at you. You fell in love with your own pure reflection. Everything good, loving, and empathetic in that relationship came directly from your spirit. They just borrowed it for a while. And when you left, you took all of that brilliant light with you. That is why their daily life is so dark now, and why your life is slowly beginning to brighten. You are the source of the warmth. You always were. You simply stopped pouring it into an empty hole. No contact is not a strategy to win them back or teach them a lesson. It is a profound declaration of your self-worth. It is you looking in the mirror and deciding that your mental health is vastly more important than feeding their fragile ego. It is a radical act of self-love in the face of emotional abuse. Every single day you choose not to reach out, you are powerfully choosing yourself. Let them scramble. Let them manipulate the new supply. Let them tell wildly fabricated stories to people who do not truly matter. None of it touches you anymore. You are protected by an invisible wall of strong boundaries. As you heal, their memory will fade from a daily obsession into a distant, dull ache, and eventually, into complete indifference. You are going to be so incredibly okay. The hardest part is behind you. The painful extraction is completely over. Now comes the beautiful, quiet rebuilding. Fill your days with things that bring you genuine joy, no matter how small. Reconnect with people who love you consistently, without hidden agendas or manipulative games. Build a daily routine that honors your peace, your safety, and your incredible strength as a survivor. You survived the unimaginable. You walked through psychological fire and came out on the other side. They expected you to break, but instead, you bravely walked away. Hold your head high. The life you are building right now is the ultimate victory, and it is a life they can absolutely never touch again. The curtain has fallen on their twisted little play, and you have finally left the room. Stop wondering what they are doing in the dark, and step completely into your own light. You owe them nothing, not even a fraction of your thoughts. The spell is broken. The trauma bond is shattered. Your beautiful life is waiting for you now, unburdened and entirely your own. They have to live with losing you for the rest of their miserable lives, but you finally get to live with yourself.